Welcome to the Impromptu podcast. I'm your host, Bridget Hayes. As a digital literacy specialist at Sonoma County Library, I organize and operate the camera library, sound studios, our cable access channel, community room, audio and video equipment, and teach classes. I thought it would be fun to involve the community in a storytelling podcast that we'll share on our YouTube channel and Santa Rosa Cable Access channel. Here's how it goes. We give you a prompt. Examples include when I was 5, my dream vacation, my first job. You have 1 minute to think about the prompt. Then we start recording. Tell us your name if you'd like. Then you have 3 minutes to tell your story using the prompt somewhere in the story. Each episode will feature a new prompt. At the end of the 3 minutes, we'll ring a bell. If you haven't finished telling your story, you'll be allowed to finish your sentence, and then we stop recording. You can tell your story any way you want. It can be fiction, nonfiction, funny, sad, historical, futuristic, but your story must be family friendly. That means PG or friendlier. You must use the prompt somewhere in your story, and you only have 3 minutes to tell it. Let's start with our first storyteller.
Hi, I'm Brenda Escutia Calderon, and today I'm going to talk about a person who shaped who I am, and his name is Vince Harper. He was like our dad. He would literally pick us up with all my friends, and we would go hang out, and we would go volunteer, and he would take us to city hall meetings, and he would tell us, like, this is the person, that's in charge of your district. You talk to them. And he introduced us to different restaurants just so that we can go out and just explore. And to this day, I still think about him when I go try a new restaurant with friends, when I get to spend time with my friends and family. So he was a very strong role model in my life that I still think about. And he made a great impact in Sonoma County. I think the most one that really stands out to me is like our obsession with food, because food is very much like a bonding thing, but also like in moderation. And so we would always overeat, and he'd be like, you can take it home, like you can eat it later. And so it just continued on, like even later on when I'd go out with friends, they'd be like, they would eat and it's like, oh, I feel sick. I was like, you can take it home, you can take it later. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, like you don't have to eat it all at once. And so that shaped where I am now, because now I'm trying to study nutrition and hopefully become a registered dietitian in the future. And I really believe it's because, Vince was able to come into my life and introduce me other friends that I'm still friends with today. I met them when I was 15, and now I'm 32, so it's like we've been friends for almost 15 years. And while we don't talk on the regularly, because I live on the East Coast, he is one of the reasons why I still keep in contact with friends from like years ago. And it's like as if nothing ever stopped us. We've always been friends, and we'll always continue to be friends. And so if you have someone, in your life who made an impact, don't forget to let them know how much they mean to you.
In case you just joined us, welcome to the Impromptu podcast, where we give you a prompt. You have 1 minute to think about the prompt, then we start recording. You have 3 minutes to tell your story using the prompt somewhere in the story. At the end of 3 minutes, we'll ring a bell. If you haven't finished telling the story, you'll be allowed to finish your sentence, and then we stop recording. Each episode will feature a new prompt.
Now, most people might say, it was my mom, my dad, my dog, my sister, my friend. For me, what I can tell you is it was my ex. I know that's probably not what you expected to hear, your ex or a story about an ex, but truly, it was my ex. The entire relationship ended in a tower moment that was just ugly. But I remember when I was processing it years later, we were still talking. And I said to this person, "You abandoned me." And they looked at me and they said, "Actually, I'm still here." And in that moment, I got that they were still there and we were still friends. And they had spent the last several years maintaining that. That moment changed my life because I realized just how much of my own mental projections gets hoisted upon other people which have nothing to do with them. It took a long, long time for me to get over this person. A long time. And sometimes, on a bad day, I'm not sure that I am. It's been over 20 years now. But I'm for showing me that what I think and what I believe is not necessarily true. And that by following that train of truth and by verifying reality and hanging in there no matter what, that the truth floats up, reality floats up. And the truth about that is that it's always easier to deal with reality than it is the fantasy. We can be tortured by our dreams, and we could be liberated by the reality of what is. And if that's one thing that I can tell you to carry with you, that I carry with me, is that truth reigns supreme, that fantasy is fun, and reality is a good thing.
Thanks for listening to the Impromptu podcast. We had some great storytellers on the show today. Isn't it incredible what amazing stories people can share in only 3 minutes? Join us next week for a new impromptu prompt and 10 new storytellers. If you want to tell your story, just email estreet@sonomalibrary.org. That's estreet@sonomalibrary.org, and we will let you know when and where we are recording next.